What do you think of when you hear this familiar song? Most likely you picture yourself as a child watching Sesame Street after school, begging your parents to play the 25th anniversary soundtrack in the car, or even taking your own children to Sesame Street Live. Such a simple song can evoke feelings of warmth and happiness in anyone who knows Sesame Street, regardless of age, gender, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, ability, or any other demographic factor. Sesame Street was created for all children with the idea of unity and breaking down barriers always in mind. Sesame Street sets itself apart as a children's show from the very beginning. Before it aired in 1969, Lloyd Morrisett had a discussion with Joan Gans Cooney about how it seemed that his daughter's eyes were constantly glued to their television set. Cooney was inspired to conduct research in order to better utilize the addictive and engaging properties of television in order to actually teach children. Jim Henson entered the picture when it was decided that a friendly cast of puppet monsters would become regulars on the show. Sesame Street became the first ever television program to base itself completely off research on childhood education. Despite all of the positive effects that the show has had on children, there have always been critiques. Is Sesame Street really as wonderful as everyone thinks it is? Many have argued that perhaps Oscar the Grouch is too grouchy, and that he is teaching children that it is okay to be mean or antisocial. I would disagree with this and argue that he actually teaches kids that it's okay to have bad days and want to be alone sometimes. Another common argument is that the show's format is too choppy and does not flow together in a single storyline, thus it is encouraging children to develop ADHD and shorten their attention spans. Again, I do not think that this assertion holds much weight. The show's format was developed by researchers who purposely chose to use this format so that it could provide a constant stimulation through humor, music, strong visuals, a mix of animation and live-action shots, and calls for audience interaction in order to best capture and hold the attention of a child audience. Gerald S. Lesser once said, "Sesame Street was built around a single breakthrough insight, that if you can hold the attention of children, you can educate them." One of the most common concerns that people express is that Elmo is teaching their children incorrect grammar because he speaks in the third person, saying things like, "Elmo wants to go to the store." Again, this was a teaching technique chosen on purpose in response to research on young children, which found that toddlers would respond better to a character that had toddler-level speech patterns. If Elmo is the only speaking character on the show, I would understand the concern, but when every other character speaks correctly, I don't see a huge issue. Many parents have claimed that the show delves into subject matter that is too harsh for some children, and they worry that their kids are learning these tough lessons too early. It is completely within every parent's control to determine at what stage in their life they think they should watch these particular episodes. And it is very important to remember this when parents attempt to make it the show's fault that their child saw something outside of their maturity level because they weren't monitoring what their kids are watching. Conservatives have often accused the show of displaying a liberal bias that they do not want their children to be exposed to. This is completely valid, however, it is up to the parent to monitor what their children are watching. It is not Sesame Street's job to censor itself to uphold a particular set of values within the home. The final critique of Sesame Street is that parents are so impressed by it that they tend to plop their kids down in front of the show alone all day and use it as a babysitter. This is the only critique that I can say I completely agree with. Parents have abused Sesame Street and failed to acknowledge the fact that it is made for parents to watch along with their kids in order to better facilitate learning within the home. Now I want you to take a look at some of the accomplishments of the show in order to help you make up your own mind about the validity of these critiques. Though Sesame Street was created to teach children a wide variety of lessons, it has never strayed from its original focus, academic education. Episodes include catchy songs and interactive shorts to engage the child audience and teach them how to associate learning with fun. Lessons include the alphabet, basic math skills, and learning of all the colors of the rainbow. Another huge focus of the show is teaching children the importance of social equality and acceptance of those who are different from you. From interracial romance of an African American character and a Latino character in the late 80s, to regular characters appearing in wheelchairs, and even discussions about the fact that boys can take ballet, the message is always loud and clear that differences are beautiful. Basics in safety and health are also taught on Sesame Street. Many shorts and songs have been dedicated to simple lessons on how to stay safe, including what to do in case of a fire and how you should not talk to strangers. The importance of eating healthy foods, exercising, and going to the doctor are also stressed. By teaching these tips in conjunction with fun songs and relatable characters, kids are more likely to remember them and view them as important. Environmental consciousness is another popular subject area of the show, from the Waste-a-Roon song about leaving the faucet running, to to Paul Rudd explaining recycling to the neighborhood kids, and even the song We Are All Earthlings about the equality of all living creatures. Kids are taught that they can personally make a difference in protecting the environment, which empowers them to take action. One of the most standout aspects of the show is that it takes the opportunity to tackle difficult life lessons that parents might find too difficult to introduce to their children on their own. Sesame Street has taken on issues such as the fact that sometimes your parents may get divorced, but they will both still love you. Or when loved ones die, they can never come back, but we can always remember them. And even people with AIDS aren't scary or bad people, but they sometimes get very sick. There is a nice balance of realism and gentleness represented in the teaching of these lessons. If there is anything that Sesame Street has taught children, it is that they are perfect just the way they are, and they should love everything about themselves. Oscar the Grouch consistently reminds children that it is okay to want to be left alone, you do not have to be happy all the time, and it's okay to love things that other people don't, like trash. One song emphasizes an African American girl's love for her natural hair, and another clip features James Gandolfini explaining to Zoe that it is alright to be afraid of the dark. This helps kids relate to characters on the show while also helping them to realize that they are unique and should be proud of that. The cast and setting of Sesame Street are just as important as the subject matter. The goal of the show was to reach poor inner-city children by using a set that resembled one they might live in. The use of human characters of different genders, ethnicities, and ages ensures that all kids can relate to them. Muppet characters were used to draw the attention of young viewers so that they would be entertained and continue watching long enough to learn the lessons being taught. Cooperation between humans and Muppets further emphasizes the theme of differences being beautiful, as well as diminishing the fear of monsters. All things considered, I truly believe that Sesame Street's positive effects on children outweigh the negative effects by a landslide.